Welcome everyone to our webinar on problem solving style. I'm thrilled to be standing in front of such an esteemed audience from literally all over the world. Thank you for considering our challenge of uses of paper clips. We'll be returning to this at the end of the webinar, so keep those ideas to hand. So before we start, let me introduce myself. I'm the director of the KI Foundation. I'm an experienced business coach, and I'm a visiting lecturer at the University of Hertfordshire on its MBA course and Masters in Management. I'm delighted to be co-hosting today with two outstanding specialists. Firstly, Naresh Shahani, the Managing Director of BMGI India, a seasoned pro in problem-solving style application. And also Ambarish Raj, business head and senior principal consultant at BMGI with over 25 years of consulting experience. So without more ado, let's take a look at problem solving style, what it is and why it's important in leadership, the ideation process, management of change, and successful team working. So let us begin. We all have our own natural preferred way of working and going about things or thinking, from how we like to organise our space through to how we prefer to solve complex problems and interact with other people. Some individuals like everything very structured, organised and just so, whilst others like their world to be free and take a more flexible approach. We could say that we're all on a spectrum, from those who like lots of structure in our lives to those who like a very fluid approach to working. How much structure you like is up to you. It's a preference. Are you more the person working in the green office on the left? Or are you a bit more like the person on the left side in the blue office? We'll come back to that a little bit later. Some people we know find following rules and routines very useful and extremely empowering. Those people who like more structure typically are seen by others as being very organised, efficient, precise and embracing the rules. They're detailed and meticulous with their working. They're a safe pair of hands, reliable and sensibly cautious. There are perfecters, there are enhancers. They're quite good at improving margin, for example. Others, on the other hand, may want to vary their routines and they don't like to be too constrained. And those individuals may be seen as adventurous, spontaneous, challenging the rules and orthodoxy. They're fluid and flexible. They may think a little tangentially. They might be risk takers as well. There are mold breakers. There are shake it up people. The majority of us fit somewhere in the middle, a little bit of a balance of the two. Where you lie on the spectrum of highly organised and systematic through to being totally fluid and free of constraints is your natural preference. We call people who like a lot of structure the more adaptive, and those who like less structure, more innovative. Most people are somewhere in the middle ground, and these might be said to be either mildly adaptive or mildly innovative. These ideas and these concepts are the basis of the theory of adaptation innovation, and it was devised and researched thoroughly by my father, Dr. Michael Carton, in 1975. It is often referred to as the KAI, or KI for short. I'm delighted to say that he was awarded a DSc in honour of his work and research. Since then, over 350 peer-reviewed articles have been written and over 100 PhD theses approved using the KAI as their basis. And those are the ones that I know about. I believe there are many more. As part of his research, he created a method of measuring where you are on the adaptation innovation spectrum. It's called the KAI inventory. And this measures your problem solving or thinking style. It tells you how much structure you like, how you like to think, and how you prefer to organize yourself and your environment. Additionally, it predicts how you are likely to interact with other people at work, at college, at home, or in your community. It acknowledges that everyone is a problem solver. So we are all creative. We all solve problems every day, every hour, all the time. But how we prefer to be creative and solve problems may be very different from our colleagues, friends, and family. Let's take a real life example, but not in the workplace. Imagine you're going on vacation. How early do you start packing? How do you plan your holiday? What sort of vacation do you want? Do you want to be spontaneous and just see what happens? Or do you want absolute control and to ensure you complete your entire wish list of sights and experiences? Well, adapters on vacation typically like to plan ahead, leave nothing to chance, and to be in total control. In fact, they will get very stressed if this is not the case. They want to be sure they have all the right paperwork, visas, currencies, and guidebooks. Every minute detail is thought about and carefully managed and choreographed. Innovators, on the other hand, are usually the opposite, and in fact, they will find it very stressful planning ahead. They prefer to leave more to chance, giving themselves elbow room to take advantage of any discounts. They may want to act spontaneously and vary their itinerary to take in unexpected events or opportunities. There is less control and a lot more opportunism in their holidays. They might even pack the wrong things, but hey, there are shops at the airport at the other end, so we don't really need to worry, will be their attitude. Now, it's important to say that both adapters and innovators have wonderful vacations, but the way they enjoy their holiday is different. Now I come on to a very important point. Your problem-solving style is not related to how clever you are, your seniority or experience. It's not relevant where you come from. Has nothing to do with what skills or qualifications you have, and nothing to do with your motivation. We have done a lot of research and always found this to be true. For example, in a top military academy, and for security reasons, you'll understand I can't say which country or which service, we found that the most senior officers were found anywhere on the whole spectrum, from the most adaptive through to the most innovative. In fact, in general, we have found that the most successful teams embrace the full spectrum, utilising and respecting all of their individual problem-solving styles. So let's just underline that. Adapters and innovators are both creative and can be good problem solvers. They just solve problems in different ways, either in a more adaptive style or a more innovative style. The great news is there is a place for everyone. Your style is perfect for you, and we need the full spectrum of thinking style to be successful communities and human beings. I'd now like to pass on the baton to my colleagues, Naresh and Ambrish, today to do a little activity with you. Naresh, Ambrish, the floor is yours.
Right. Thank you, Nicola. So what we'll do now is we'll just do a short poll and just please give your responses to that, and then based on that we'll tell you what is to be done next. Right. So here comes the poll. All right. So you would see on your screens this poll. So request people to give their answers, please. Yeah. I think some people have not yet responded, but yes. Okay, so we just end the poll, and yep. So I'm just going to share results. So yeah, so this is what we've got. Majority say that teams are cross-functional in nature, followed by that there is a tendency to have more of domain experts in the team. And some say that it's intra-function within the department team, and some of them have volunteers. So if you want to participate in a team, then you come into the team. So good. So I think that's typically what people do in the organizations. However, here, when we are going to do this team exercise, we're going to follow a slightly different way of breaking into teams. So what you will find here are each room is labeled. So there are 4 rooms that we're going to form teams for. So the room 1 is basically what it says is strongly adaptive. Room 2 is mildly adaptive. Room 3 is mildly innovative, and room 4 is strongly innovative. And as Nicola was explaining, each type has a certain characteristic which is mentioned here. So what she explained in terms of how you'd like to do a holiday, or what's the way you would set up your office, and other examples. So would point out to whether you are strongly adaptive or mildly adaptive, vis-a-vis, how you'd like to, don't like to follow structure, and you don't like structure at all, or you like minimal structure. So that would put you in a mildly innovative or a strongly innovative category. So based on what category you think you are, and this is based on what you believe you are today, we would request you to get into your team. So if you click on the breakout room, you will find that there are 4 breakout rooms created, and you can choose your room. Right, and you can choose your room and join that room. And before you do that, the exercise that has to be done is as follows. So Nicola, if you can just show the exercise, please. So the exercise is as follows. So what you have is a steel pipe embedded in a concrete floor of a bare room, as shown below. So if you see, this is that steel pipe, which is of about 4 inches, which is embedded in a concrete floor below. And inside, dia is of 0.06 inches, larger than the diameter of a ping pong ball, which is, so basically, if you see, this ping pong ball has a dia of 1.5 inches, and this pipe is slightly bigger in dia as compared to the ping pong ball. So you have this ping pong ball, which is there resting at the bottom of the pipe. You have the following objects. So you're in a room with this scenario. You have the following objects with you. So 100 feet of clothesline, a light bulb, a carpenter's hammer, a chisel, all right, a box of Rice Krispies, a file, a wire coat hanger, and a pipe wrench. Okay, so these are the 8 resources you have. Now list as many ways you can think of in 2 minutes to get the ball out of the pipe. So the task is that you have to get this ball outside the pipe without damaging the ball, the pipe, or the floor, which means you can't break the ball, you can't break the pipe or the floor, and you have to get the ball out of the pipe. So you have 2 minutes to do this. So get into your breakout room based on your preference of who you think you are, and then ideate in your room and generate as many ideas in your group as you can in 2 minutes, and then come back to the main room, and then we'll ask you to share what you got. Is that okay? Right. Thank you. So with that, request everybody to get into the room and get active with their project work.
Welcome back, everybody, and nice to see some faces. Thank you for doing this. I'm going to request anybody from any room, say your room number, say, just talk us through what happened in your room, and talk to us through if you want to list the number of ideas that you had, or what was your most crazy idea in your room. Any room, anybody would like to go.
So
Take a-
room number 2.
Yeah, go ahead.
So initially, like the problem description was not visible. You have sent it little later on the chat, so we lost some time. But there are few ideas. One of the brilliant ideas from some of the friend is just unfold the hanger and then put it inside the tube. Means with a little fold at the end so that we can pull it. One simple idea is we can use the rice to throw it in the tube so that the rice will settle down at the bottom and the ball will come up. These are the two I remember, and I request my team members if you can add on what I said.
Great. Sumit, you're mute.
One more idea was that we don't know whether that concrete which is there in the room is actually embedded in the ground or not. We can just topple the whole thing upside down, and without damaging anything, the ball would come out. So that was one of the
because the image you have shown is like a rock, not a floor. So this is a possibility.
Sure, thank you.
Right.
Anybody else in any other room would like to take a crack?
This side Amol Sharma from room number 4.
Right.
So there was another idea for using the hammer. So just using the hammer, we can create a vibration in the tube. And with the tube, since it is a ping pong ball, so it will start lifting a little bit. So after again falling there, it will bounce back more strongly. So using this multiple times, there will be a time when it will come out of the pipe.
Right.
Right.
And one more option can be like, as you said, it is a ping pong ball. So I hope it is very light in weight, so we can try to put some pressure using our lungs, and it may come out.
Sure. Brilliant. Right. Anything else that we got in the room? Anybody else from room number 4, 3? Anybody from room number 3 who would like to take a crack at what some of the ideas that you got? There were several other things there are several other implements in the room so to help you.
Yeah, in room number 3, we discussed the hanger as well as a combination of a hanger and this file that we have. Let's say the ball keeps on falling, and the Rice Krispies was also discussed. Let's say, and somebody also mentioned, let's say, using saliva on Rice Krispies and sort of increasing the size of the ball and trying to create some net using the threads. So there were all some innovative solutions being discussed.
That's nice. Very interesting.
We also pondered why the light bulb was there, but we couldn't really figure out. I thought it's just for distraction.
Okay.
What about group 1?
Yeah, nobody really thought of breaking the light bulb and making a tungsten wire out of it and then pulling it from there. So,
Naresh, we haven't had anyone from group 1. Is there somebody from group 1 who'd like to offer up an idea?
Anybody in group 1? I guess not many people joined group 1. I saw that there were only about 3 people in group 1.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. So I think it was interesting how the ideas came
So
out.
just, sorry,
Yes,
just an
Prashant.
observation, Prashant. Just an observation. I was in group 4. So, one of the participants in our group asked, saying that, why do you want to restrict us with only these items to pull the ball? Why can't we use something more than whatever? So why this restriction has been put was the question.
We will come on to that in a moment. That's a really good segue into what we're going to talk about.
Perfect. And I think that's good. I think it's nice. What is interesting to see is not only how much the ideas and the quality and the different creative ideas that we get in the room, it's also how the room tried to take on the challenge. I heard people say that we came to know about the challenge. We didn't get to see the slide a little early. People asking questions about why do we need only about these things, you know? In fact, we had a team in a room which said, you know, as somebody rightly said in the room, we also saw that the human being is a resource, and people talked about saliva. We had a team which was more creative enough. It said that, you know, we could use urine in the room and basically use human extract in the room to get water, to get use that as a water to get the
Water float.
ping pong ball out of the water. So there are many ideas there, and that's really what this is all about. It's what's interesting to realize is that we basically use this as an example also to, you know, not worry about people's domain expertise or their remote experience or the etc. Is to try and say that what you really noticed in the room is it's all about your style and how you think, and that's really what we really want to bring about in this room. Right? Nicola, would you like to go forward?
I
Yeah.
would love to. Okay, so moving on, and I will pick up some of the points which have come out of that exercise. Fundamentally, your problem-solving style is made up of three distinct components or parts. The first part is to do with the way on how we like to generate ideas, which is very much what we've just been looking at. Adapters naturally offer up a few ideas, but these tend to be really good, solid, and practical. They are usually easy to implement. However, adapters, particularly the higher adapters, may be reticent to offer up their ideas. And interestingly, it is group one, although it was a small group, who did not come forward with any ideas in this particular arena. Innovators typically have many more ideas, but these are not always immediately practical. In fact, some might be quite off the wall or appear to be not relevant to the problem in hand at all. Okay, and one of the things that they will typically do, and we'll come on to this a bit further, is ask to break the rules, which in fact Group 4 neatly showcased for us. What ideas are needed varies by the situation you find yourself in. Neither adaptive nor innovative are intrinsically good or bad. It depends on the circumstance in which they are being applied. The next component is your methodology of working or your style of efficiency. The adaptive are typically thorough and precise with all the details. They tend to want to make things better, improving or perfecting the established. The more innovative have much wider ranging views, which may alter the current way of doing things and often look to do things differently, or they might say, shake things up a little bit. And then finally, somebody from Group 4 has illustrated this. There is rule conformity. In general, adapters like rules, policies, and traditions and constraints, and they like to get agreement from everyone before implementing their solution. However, the more innovative prefer less structure and tend to ignore, bend, or break the rules. Additionally, they will be less concerned about what everybody else thinks. They can cause friction in teams if it's not managed well. So when you're in a rut, want to get out of a rut, then an innovative solution may be just what you need. However, if something needs fixing or improving, or are the margins improved, then a more adaptive approach may be better. Now, one of my favorite parts of KAI. Every style has an equal value. There are no good nor bad KAI results. Every style has its strengths and its weaknesses. What you need depends on the circumstance you find yourself in. And it's brilliant in that you can help people with a different style from you. So here are my quick tips for your personal success. Work to your strengths from your preference and admit your weaknesses, but don't use it as an excuse. Allow people to plug your weaknesses using their strengths, and remember to show you really appreciate somebody who's different from you, their assistance, and value that difference. So, does my style change? Can it change over time? Well, let's take a look at these lovely kitties and puppies. They're all cute, whatever the colour of their eyes. We've got blue, brown and green. Your problem-solving style is like eye colour. It doesn't change. However, like eye colour, eye appearance, it can be changed by using coloured contact lenses. So in humans, your actual behaviour can be changed to meet the circumstance, but this won't affect your underlying preference. So research shows that your style, your preferred way of going about things, is set early in life and stays the same for your whole life. But you may change your behaviour when you need to, or when experience tells you that's a requirement. So let's have a little look at preference versus actual behaviour. Sometimes we need to do things differently from our preference. Innovators may need to be more adaptive, and adapters may need to be more innovative given the circumstances. And typically this is hard work and puts a lot of strain on our brains. However, you can minimise stress in both yourself and your colleagues and maximise by working towards, maximise results by working to and utilising everyone's natural thinking preferences. For example, you may be more innovative and like a free-form filing system in your office. However, if you know that the tax inspector is coming to do some kind of audit, you see the need to change your behaviour and may put in extra effort to organise files more carefully. You may prefer to work in a more flexible manner, but have a vested interest to change your behaviour when you have a good reason, and this is motivating you to do so. Avoiding a fine or going to jail count as quite good motives in my book. A reverse example might be someone who is more adaptive, but may need to be more innovative than their usual style in order to solve a new intractable problem. They may need to consider wider ideas, have to work with less detail because these aren't available, or bend or even break rules to solve the problem which is facing them. So you can change your behaviour when you need to. You can behave in your preferred way, or you could try or may have to behave in a very different or alien way from your preference. But we all know that trying to be something we're not is hard work. So the longer you have to pretend to be different, the harder it is. And also the more different you need to behave from your natural preference, the harder it is. And if you try to do both, as this chart shows, this is harder still. Acting in a way which is different from our preference is called coping behaviour. Employing a lot of coping behaviour routinely is bad for our mental well-being and will produce poor outcomes in the long run. We are happiest and most productive when we're being ourselves. We feel at our best when we are valued for who we actually are. Good teammates and leaders respect our preferences and let us be who we are for the best results. I'd now like to pass on the baton back to Naresh and Ambrish, who are going to share with you some case studies and some examples. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nicola. And we've been using KI in an Indian context and a global context over the last decade or so. And we've seen this a variety of use cases, and I thought it'd be good to take this into a business context and try and provide some insights about how we've seen it used. There are many, many use cases that it goes, and I thought we'd take a few of them in this room and share with you quickly in the next 5-6 minutes, and then throw it open for questions from the larger audience that you're here. Simply said, we do a lot of work in the innovation space, and we had a leadership team a few years ago that asked us and said that they were trying to build a innovation portfolio to see what kinds of projects and what kind of innovation opportunities that this company was ready to go after. And we administered the KI to the leadership team, shared this feedback with the leadership team as a whole, and they were quickly able to see, based on the leadership teams, KI profile, what stress and what changes would occur and how much coping behavior would be required. Should they really look at some of the unseen or the unknown opportunities that they were trying to explore? So as they were starting an innovative momentum in the organization, they said it would be sensible to take something that we were more comfortable with as we start their journey in that. So that was one example that we've seen very often where leadership teams take this, especially when they are taking on a large transformational journey in the organization. It helps them organize themselves, it helps them understand themselves and take them forward. Very often we see cross-functional teams formed. As you said in this exercise, when we started out, we did a poll. Most teams start with cross-functional teams, and they bring these cross-functional teams together. And that's what we also do for innovation projects, etc. And when we bring these cross-functional teams together, very often these teams come based on different functions, different competencies, different this. We believe that adding an element of style enables the team to function better. And understanding this. So very often we tend to select people when we have a choice who seem to be thinking like us. And that's not necessarily the best solution when we're trying to get large diversity in the team and we're trying to solve complex problems. And it's important that we get teams which have diversity in style. They have their own problems associated with that, and managing that diversity sometimes takes a challenge. And there are what we call bridgers in the room that enable that. But getting high diversity in style in the room tries to get the best out of the room, because different times in different stages of the problem solving process needs divergent and convergent thinking, and different styles enable some of that based on strengths and weaknesses. Another example that we saw, we were working for a company and we were doing a large workshop, and we administered the KI to a department, and we noticed very interestingly that all the people who were in the department had a similar style. All their style, all their assessment and preferences were in a very small band. And when we started talking about that and we were discussing that, we realized that it came as an outcome of their recruitment process. And an average person went through 4 or 5 interviews within the department for whatever reasons. And we noticed that that style became a very, very small, narrow band, which gave us to give feedback to leadership to try and tell them that perhaps there was an opportunity to get more diversity in style in the room, in the department, to get better when there were more different challenges as we go across. We've seen that at an individual level. We've seen teams talk to us at an individual level. Very often leaders come to us and say, you know, I have work in my natural team, and in my natural team, it's nice for me to know what my style is so that I understand my style, and then I can make assessments based on discussions with my team. So whether these teams basically look at that. Very recently, I had a very senior gentleman call me and say, you know, I have these new people joining my team. Let me get their KI score and my KI score so that I'm able to engage with different people when I do work with them in a different manner. Maybe I perhaps would need to show some coping behavior to get the best of my team. Another area that we've seen great effectiveness is that very often many organizations look at job rotation, job transfers as part of a natural process. You know, many organizations see that and they say high performers need to move from different departments or different leaders. Very often we've seen examples when HR executives tell us, oh, we had a high performer very early in this department. When we moved him to a different factory or a different space, he started or she started underperforming. And perhaps this was also because of style. We don't have direct evidence for that, but our feeling is, and our data says that perhaps a lot of that could be due to style. And very often a high variation in style can create a lot of work challenges, can create a lot of communication challenges in the workplace. And we feel some HR companies, some HR managers are now talking to us to see that while they're doing career progression, promotions, transfers, they're looking to see how they can use KI as a part of it. We've not recommend and we don't recommend using KI with respect to when we talk about recruitment, because the challenge is, please understand, KI is all about preference and not about what you can cope or you can display behavior for. And when you start doing it as part of recruitment, people try to game the system, and that's of any psychometric instrument just like ours. So that's really what we'd like to talk about. So these are a variety of use cases in which we have used KI in an organizational context, whether it's in HR, whether it's in business, whether it's in looking at ad hoc teams, transformation projects, transformational teams. So it's a wide variety that we've seen KI used. I'm going to just move a few slides and now throw it open. Nicola, you can go a few slides down, and we'll let it open for one more slide. And we let it open for questions. We've got about 5-7 minutes. So we'll throw it open for questions from anybody, and any questions that you have, Nicola, Amrish, and I'd be happy to take answers, take those questions and give you our thoughts on it.
Yeah, so how is this different from a typical personality tests like MBTI? I mean, what are the key differentiators?
Nicola, would you like to take that?
Yes, I'm quite happy. I mean, MBTI is a psychometric measure as well. But one of the really great things about the KI is it's measuring one thing very precisely, which is your thinking style, and it does it accurately, and it will help predict behavior, and it will help you leverage it. Whereas often with MBTI, it's more difficult to apply it in quite the same way. So this is a really useful tool. It is often used as a complementary measure to other things which are already in the HR bank of useful psychometric measures. Some of my practitioners, they use it exclusively, but many use it in combination with other tools which are available. What is its real power is it predicts how somebody might behave in a particular environment, and whether it's likely to cause them stress or whether they will be working at their optimum level. So if you've got, for example, an ability to move people around from department to department when you're fast tracking somebody, if you know that they're highly innovative or highly adaptive, there will be some departments which they're really not going to be suited to. And as Naresh was saying earlier, actually they might underperform, and you might lose a very good member of staff who would have been brilliant in one department but not another. So it's very useful at predicting that kind of thing. Does that answer your question reasonably?
Yep, thanks you. Thanks.
Lovely, my pleasure.
Naresh, I have a question about the coping behavior. Is it always in the negative context, or can you actually leverage any of that in the organization?
So some of it, it's like a rubber band, Sumit. Very simply put, some amount of stress is good. It can be a positive stress to show some amount of coping behavior at times. But if you extended time, you have to be in a coping behavior state. You know it better. You come from the hospital industry, so you know what happens. So eventually it starts breaking down, and people tend to then move away or start underperforming. So as Nicola rightly said, sometimes in a team setting, a high adaptive or a mild adaptive needs to be creative and generate ideas. Given the right environment, he or she is happy to display a coping behavior to do that. But for an extended period of time, it requires a lot of energy on it. And that's basically the risk that you sit.
People start using their energy to do the coping behavior instead of doing their job. And that's not good. That's why your outcomes will start to be lowered. And also they will start feeling uncomfortable in that environment and may actually leave. And you don't want that either. So you see absenteeism rise, the longer coping behavior is actually being in operation. So minimizing the amount of time you need to opt out of style, that it's better from productivity and wellness. But as Naresh said, a little bit of being pushed out of your comfort zone is not a bad thing.
Hello, I'd like to ask a question if possible. Rosanna here. So first of all, thank you for this webinar. I've been quietly listening. My question is related to the, let's say, the delicate aspect of this instrument in today's context. And by delicate, I mean for quite a few years now, there is a trend in the business world, but generally speaking, when it comes to our human personalities, there is this trend of being an innovator. Like innovators are the gurus of today's world. They are like gods. Everyone wants to be an innovator. So what I'm trying to say is that does this instrument, I mean, can it be used to put some pressure on those who are more adaptive, which, as you said, I believe are equally important and essential to any type of development or innovation. But that's what I'm trying to say. Today, when everyone wants to be innovators and being recognized as so, today when we have leaders in the world or in companies who are clearly not innovators by nature, and that is fine, but they want to be seen as such.
So I think a great question, Rosanna. And if you notice that when we launched and we talked about this webinar, we said, do you want to be Steve? Is your thinking style like Steve Jobs, or thinking style like Tim Cook? And the idea, we took a pick at both of them, were extremely successful individuals, extremely successful in their own rights. And the idea is not to say that one is more important or less important than the other. If you remember, all styles are important. All styles are creative. Humans inherently are creative. It's the way they create or innovate is basically different. And that's really important. Very often, even in our training, and we talk about this, and we say that the two styles, and we try and bring this out very clear. And we don't have data to say, not that Steve Jobs or Tim Cook has done the KI, but we just gave that as an example. In our training, very often we say that the two differences are high adaptive. It is something you can say on one side of the pendulum is Einstein, and the other side of the pendulum is Edison. And we talk about their achievements, and we try and share both their achievements to say that probably they were on the two sides of the pendulum. So we're very careful to say it's when you say mildly or highly, it's an innovative thinking style, not to say that you're innovative. And
Exactly.
that's the difference, that we bring the difference out in the room. So is
Yes,
that
so everybody is creative, everyone is valued, but you are right that in certain sorts of environments, a certain amount of pressure can be brought to bear by organizations mistakenly overvaluing innovation and undervaluing adaptation. And it does depend on the environment you're in as to whether or not that is happening. And one of the things that we would really like to see is for leaders to understand you need both. And if you favor one over the other, it'll cause the organization some problems. So if the organization wholly is too innovative, there will not be enough structure, and that will cause some issues long term and instability, if you like. And if it's too adaptive, it might end up moribund. You need to have a balance. And I think this is the big message that we want to take to leaders, is that do not overvalue one above the other. There's a saying in our team here, which is behind every great innovator, there's a great adapter. And behind every great and successful adapter, there's a great innovator. So you need that balance, and you need it right across the organization, making sure that every organization values them equally, and internationally. That's an important thing. So yes, it's an issue which we are aware of, and allowing people to be themselves means that they will operate and be adaptively creative to their fullest capacity, which may be much more useful to your organization than forcing them to do something that they are not naturally orientated towards.
Or package. Something else I have noticed is that sometimes, because of this obsession for innovation, sometimes what is adaptive is packaged and sold as innovative, which is not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
Right.
you could look at Bezos for that as well. You can say, as Amazon is a very innovative organization. No, it isn't. It's all about process. It's all about structure. It's all about doing things efficiently and effectively. So yes, people misuse the terminology, and they might talk about innovation as being purely breakthrough. and then apply it to something which is adaptive. And we definitely split the two.
So quickly, I've got a couple of people still asking questions. Amol, you put up your hand? So before I go and talk about how we do this, I know we are running out of time, so I'm going to just take a minute. Amol, do you have a question, or it does?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Naresh. Actually, my question was related to this current slide on like how we go about doing the assessment for a team in an organization. And second one, another question, like you might be having a lot of case studies related to where in this whole setup is implemented in an organization. So a quick related to some related to like what all the outcomes from those case studies and how the company organization got benefited.
Sure.
Just quickly. And thank you for KI Foundation and BMJ for such a wonderful webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amol. So very quickly, the first question is answered on the slide. So I'll quickly take you through that. Is basically, we can do assessments individually. Typically, these assessments can be done online. You get a feedback report online, and then you have a conversation with the KI facilitator, as that's part of the DA, that's part of the necessary requirement of basically enabling your feedback report to you. We've seen it and we've done it very often with the whole team. These could be natural work teams. This could be ad hoc teams that are created. So that's basically it. We've done similar webinars for leadership teams for them to understand the KI, talk to them about it, compare them with other psychometric instruments before they like to take it into the company and see where they can use it. So we've done similar webinars, half-day workshops, administered it just to a smaller set of people, whether a leadership team, an HR group, etc. That's basically it. People can get certified to do the KI facilitator course. The KI Foundation with the University of Virginia runs this course periodically across the year. And these courses can be attended and you can get certified to be a KI facilitator. Very often they get integrated in innovation transformation programs. So whenever large companies talk to us and are doing large innovation initiatives, they very often ask us and request to do use the KI inventory on a vast number of people during team selection, during team leadership creation, etc., etc. And last but not the least, we've worked with HRs in their people management process when they're talking about transferring, internal transfers, internal recruitment, career planning, and progression.
Sorry, Naresh, can I just jump in there? It's really useful in change management programs because sometimes people underestimate the amount of detail and support the more adaptive people require within your organization. It can get rid of hostility to change or transformational change within an organization and increase adoption, which is a really useful thing to know about. Sorry, Naresh.
Yep. So I guess I know there would be other questions. We will put this webinar up and you can reach us up and we will send you a thank you note with a mail that you can write to each of us or any of us, and we would be happy to take any other questions in the fairness of time. Thank you all for taking the time out to spend this hour with us at different hours of the day, from early morning on the East Coast in the United States to sometime in the afternoon in Europe to early evening in India. Could be late evening in the East. So thank you very much for taking the time and spending with us this hour. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.